The Russian Revolution played a significant part in the latter part of World War I. It was happening concurrently during 1917 with the final phases of World War I, and it led to Russia being removed from the war. At this time, Russia had sided with the United States and France, and they were fighting against the Germans. It also led to Russia being transformed from the Tsarist autocratic state into a socialist republic, which came to be known as the Union of Soviet Socialist Republic, abbreviated USSR, and commonly known as the Soviet Union. Now, the Russian Revolution happened in two separate coups, or two separate revolutions. The first being the February coup, or revolution, and the second, the Bolshevik Revolution, or the November Revolution. Now, a coup, if you notice, it's underlined in green. You need to pay attention to all terms underlined in green. A coup is when a government leader is overthrown by force. Sometimes a bloodless coup can occur, which is what's going to end up happening with the Bolshevik Revolution. Now, the first revolution, the February coup, happened when Russia's economy was suffering from World War I's involvement. That was one of the causes that led to the actual February coup. Also, Tsar Nicholas II was in charge, and he had a habit of basically ruling by oppression and then giving up some of his power. And from this, he created what we call a Duma. Duma was Russia's parliament. Imperialist Russia was also no match for industrialized Germany. Germany had electricity that was pretty much widespread. They also had completely industrialized factories, and Russia's economy right now is based on agrarian or agriculturally based. Also, the February coup led to Tsar Nicholas abdicating the throne, and he was sent into exile first in Siberia, and then he was sent into a second exile at the base of the Ural Mountains. And we know the Ural Mountains separate Russia from Europe. They form the border between Asia and Europe. Now, violent demonstrations had broken out in the street of Petrograd, which was the capital, currently known as St. Petersburg, and these violent demonstrations are what led to Tsar Nicholas deciding to abdicate the throne and going into exile. A lot of the people on the streets were protesting. The economy was bad. The cost of World War I had led to a famine, and they were storming the streets for bread. Tsar Nicholas and the Romanov family played a vital role in Russian history. Tsar Nicholas was actually the last Tsar of Russia. He was the Romanov bloodline, and the crown or the throne was handed down through successions. His grandfather was actually assassinated, and he had seen or witnessed assassination attempts made on his father, which led to his way of ruling by oppression. Unfortunately, his lack of activity in politics and in central government led to him having to give up power to the Duma that he created, which he would subsequently take power away and dissolve the Russian parliament whenever he felt the need to. And like I said, Duma is the Russian parliament. The February coup led to him abdicating the throne, and when he was sent into exile, it caused some ruckus amongst Russia, and you had some anti-revolutionists or anti-Bolsheviks that would try to reestablish the throne, which led to the second revolution. In the meantime, in the interim, in between the Bolshevik Revolution and the February Revolution, a provisional or temporary government was established. His entire family ended up being executed in 1918, which led to the end of trying to reestablish the throne, and no one knew exactly what happened until about 1979 when the remains were recovered. Up until that point, they had just simply disappeared. After the Soviet Union or Russia had released secret documents, we came to find out through diaries that the Romanov family was actually executed in their basement, and their bodies were dumped in an abandoned mine shaft. The bodies were then further moved. They were soaked in acid and buried in an unmarked grave in the woods. This grave was stumbled upon in 1979, and in 1991, we drew blood from a Romanov descendant, the Lord of Edinburgh, which confirmed that the 9 bodies that were found were actually the descendants of the Romanov family, and they finally found peace and received a formal burial in 1995.